The third semi-annual Digimon Times was released in honor of the franchise's 29th anniversary, and we all had our fingers crossed that we'd get a new VPET announcement. Last year's birthday broadcast dropped the completely unexpected surprise of new Digimon Pendulum versions, featuring the previously unrevealed digital world of Shambhala. And as such, many of us were wondering if we could see additional Pendulum versions this year. Some even theorized that since versions 6 and 7 were dedicated to a specific digital world, versions 8 and 9 may be about another one. The first 6 versions already covered the primary digital world that Yggdrasil rules over, so that would leave Iliad as the obvious choice, which would work great with the latest Digimon video game also taking place in that world. Well, those theories were 100% correct, and that's exactly what we got. Not only that, but we're seeing new retail releases of not only the Digital Monster version 20th, but the Digimon Adventure Digivice. We'll cover those details in a moment, but for those of you itching to import these LCD toys, Zenin TCG is once again sponsoring this news segment. Zenin offers a variety of Digimon and anime merch, and that includes the new Digimon Pendulum versions, the Digivice version Revival, and the Digimon Original New Wave version 2. You'll even get a percentage off your order when you get multiple colors of these devices together. In addition to the devices, they are also offering a case of their own design to protect the Digivice version Revival in the event that it flies off your belt during a particularly intense jog. If any of that sounds up your alley, head to the links in the description to get yours. Now then, Digimon Times actually covered a variety of Digimon content, but as always, I'm just focusing on the VPETs and Digivices. Everything we're talking about is going to have English text, even the items that are Japan exclusive. Though even if they were in Japanese, these are very straightforward devices with very little reading. We'll start with the news I care about the most, the new Digimon Pendulums. As always with these types of devices, these are going to be pre-order only. They're being distributed by Premium Bandai Japan, and we're not expecting any localized versions of these, so it's just what these are is what these are. They are available in English, as I mentioned before, so you don't need to worry about not being able to understand the language. All the devices are in English. There's not a version that has Japanese, they just are in English by default. Now you're also not going to expect to see these on store shelves, even in Japan. These are just available during the pre-order period. So we do have 2 different devices, just like we did with Shambhala, and the one on the left here in the Olympus green color, as they call it, is the Celestial Walker device, and then we have Astral Sentinel on the right in Iliad blue. So they're definitely trying to appeal to me by using these blues here. Definitely love the bright royal blue on the right there, and on the left it's more of a, obviously they said it's green, it's minty though, definitely bluish in hue, so I'm a big fan of both of these colors. I find the accents to be a little bit, I'm not sure how I feel about the cream, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'm just happy to have more blue shells, especially after the last set of shells were very red heavy, so definitely happy to see blue get its due here. I'm also confused as to why these are called the Astral Sentinel and Celestial Walker, both singular, when normally we hear Deep Savers, Wind Guardians, all plural names, so I'm not sure why they're singular this time around, but whatever, that's what it is. Now, as far as functionality with these devices, we do expect them to be basically identical in functionality to the Shambhala devices, which those were already mostly identical to the other Digimon Pendulum color versions. If you've not messed with any of those before, make sure to check out my previous videos there, or just go to the manual on my website to see what they all do. The things that were added specifically for Shambhala were adding the names to the album that you're able to review, and then the cut-ins also appear so that your Digimon will have a close-up whenever it's in battle. We expect that they didn't show off that in here, but we should expect to see those things return, since it would make no sense for them not to continue having those types of features in these devices. But either way, if you've done a pendulum before, it's a familiar experience. For those of you that haven't, just real quick, pendulums are called that because you can shake them. You shake them to be able to get them their best values in training and battle. You can see on the right there that if you shake properly, then you get double attacks. If you shake improperly, you get single attacks, which do less damage. How much you need to shake depends on the Digimon, and a color appears on the screen to tell you what amount you need to shake to. So if it shows red during the intro screen, then you need to shake to red in order to get the appropriate result. And so it's very easy to work with. It's not like the old pendulums where you just had to know what the number is. Here, it actively tells you when you can stop shaking, which is honestly pretty great. And then as far as the color features, all the basic stuff is here, so you can have the different backgrounds, for example, on there. You have backup, you have cold mode. You can have up to one Digimon in backup at a time, I should say. And yeah, all that stuff exists. Cold mode, for those who don't know, that's a way to freeze your Digimon when you don't have time to raise it at the moment. It happens to all of us, so that's a convenient way to take care of that. Pendulums also feature the Jogress mechanics. We'll be seeing that here as well, wherein you can take one Digimon and slam it into another one to evolve it into a new Digimon form. So if you are unable to evolve naturally or just want to mess around with Jogress, that option is available for evolution. So the biggest thing to talk about, of course, is the rosters of these devices. So we'll move into that right now. So here we have our roster for Celestial Walker, and this should immediately give you a good idea of what the Iliad theming is all about. For those unaware, the digital world of Iliad is based on Greek mythology, and that's where all of its Digimon are rooted from, and the head honchos of that world are the Olympus 12. So between these two devices, you're going to be able to get all of the Olympus 12 Digimon. We see 6 of them on this device, 6 of them on the other one, and then it's sprinkled with other Digimon relevant to that lore as well. You may have played Time Stranger recently. If you've played Digimon World Time Stranger, then you're very familiar with Iliad. You're very familiar with a lot of these Digimon. Some of these Digimon we're looking at premiered in Time Stranger. I actually still haven't played Time Stranger, so you guys probably know a few of these better than I do. But either way, that's the main gist of the theming for this. So unlike Deep Savers and Wind Guardians that are focused on like aquatic Digimon and avian or plant Digimon, these aren't focused on a specific type of Digimon, but rather a theme of Digimon, in this case again being Greek mythology. Now we'll have some other choices thrown in there to be able to complement evolutions. Sealamon, for example, probably wouldn't consider that as strictly Greek in theme, but it goes along with the other Digimon that it evolves into. And this is just like with the Shambhala devices, where those were representative of Chinese and Japanese mythology. These devices here go right into Greek mythology. So enough about that. Let's talk about what Digimon we actually have here. So the babies, we have Mokumon evolving into Sunmon. Sunmon, of course, being the classical baby form of Coronamon, who made its debut back in Digimon Story Sunburst, and its counterpart was in the other one. What's it called? Moonlight? Yeah, we're going to go with Moonlight. If it's not Moonlight, sorry, but I'm just going to call it Moonlight for the rest of this video. And, of course, with Moonlight, the mascot there was Lunamon. I don't know if they were both in both games. I don't know. Never played those either. I don't really play Digimon games, so sorry for my lack of understanding there. But either way, so Coronamon is paired up with Elecmon here, as well as a brand new Digimon, and we actually have an image of this one we can take a peek at here. Here it is. It's a little snake in a hoodie. Pretty cool. We don't have, surprisingly, snake Digimon are a little lacking in which is, yeah, just wild to see, but we've got this guy coming in to help us out with that, so that's exciting to see. Really good design. This is probably the more popular of the new designs that have been revealed. There are only a few this time around. I know Toho Braves and Sayu Warriors, they introduced a fair number. Here we have 6 between the two devices, and they're all related to each other on each device. So it's this snake and then 2 more snakes that we'll look at here. This one on Celestial Walker. But yeah, there we go. That's what the new guy there looks like. And so moving on to the adult stages there. In fact, actually, let's just go across from the adult stages. So starting with our red line there at the top. So we have the rest of Coronamon's line from Digimon Story Sunburst. That would be Phyramon, Flaremon, and Apollomon. Apollomon, of course, being representative of Apollo from Greek mythology. Below that, we have the main character, I suppose, of Time Stranger. And that would be Aegiomon with Aegiochus. I don't know actually pronounce Aegiochusmon. Also, they say Aegiomon in the dialogue of Time Stranger. I am holding true to that being incorrect as far as pronunciation goes, so you will only be hearing me refer to it as Aegiomon. Sorry if that bothers you. But then they also evolve into Jupitermon there, as was often the case in the past. I think that's like how it was introduced originally in that way. That was like with not New Country, what's it called? Digimon Collectors, I think. Either Collectors or Crusaders. I forget which awful card game it debuted in back in the early 2000s. Not a fan, sorry. And then below that, we have Blintmon and Master Blintmon, who did debut in Time Stranger. And they go up in there into Volcanusmon, another one of the Olympus 12. Below that, we have Sealamon and then Skull Seedramon, who was another debut from Time Stranger. So you're starting to see a theme here. If you, again, have played Time Stranger, you're going to see a lot of familiar faces going on. And then that line there is ended off with King Waymon. For those who are not familiar with how V-Pets work, I'm going to pause real quick. I keep saying line here, as in like line going left to right. These Digimon will very likely evolve into each other based on these lines, but that's not the only evolutions they will have. They have the ability to evolve into other forms as well, either naturally or via Jogress, depending on which one is which. But the way they have this arranged is very likely going to be the natural evolution order on these, as is often the case with these pendulums. But That may change. These, like, Master Blintmon may not necessarily evolve into Volcanusmon. That just may happen to be where they're placed on this. But that's how I'm just going to refer to it for now, for the sake of this video. So moving on, we have the new Grape Snake there, the adult form of that snake we looked at a moment ago. So we don't have a artwork of this yet, so we won't be able to see exactly what it looks like. But we see that it is at least a snake. It's got grapes. It's got little stems sticking out of the back of it, which may or may not be wings. Hard to say. They could just be decorative stems. But either way, cool to see more snake. That turns into a little fruit. It seems to lose all the snake theming in that next form. But that's fair because it's becoming Bacchusmon, who Bacchusmon still does have the snake theming. But yeah, so that's the new snakes appear to be directly there for the Bacchusmon line. So Bacchusmon, once again, being a member of Olympus 12. King Waymon over there, not part of the Olympus 12. I'm just going to point that out. I actually don't know why it's there. Is it considered a Titan? Well, some of these are Titans, like Skull Seedramon is one of the Titans. But is King Waymon a Titan? I have no idea. So, moving right along to the next line, we have Tylomon, which is great to see. Tylomon is an armor evolution of, I think, Tailmon, if I recall correctly, from Digimon Adventure 02. Of course, it didn't appear in the show, but did appear on the Digivice D3 back then. And the X form of it was on the Digital Monster X version 3, but now we have the natural form on here as well. Tylomon is not a shark, as many people may think at first glance, but a tylosaur, which I think that's the whole thing. There might be more verbs or more syllables in there. I don't know, but it is an aquatic reptile from ancient times, not a shark, not a fish of any variety. But that being said, I have to point that out because it evolves in the Sharkmon right there. So yeah, either way. So that's Sharkmon, which debuted from Time Stranger, and that we have going into Neptunemon, who debuted, is one of the earliest Olympus 12s that was around. It was not the first. I think Marsmon was the first, but it debuted on the Excel Nature Genome alongside its pal Mercurymon below there. So the two of those have been around for quite a while. Most of these other Olympus 12s, apart from Apollomon and Dianamon, a lot of them debuted in the Digimon Collectors, Crusaders, whatever one it was, where Iliad was, I believe, first introduced, and that I think the group technically existed before then of Olympus 12. I think it was named. I'm not certain of that, but it was definitely filled out at that point. Below that, we have Garurumon Black and Weregarurumon Black becoming Mercurymon. We already mentioned Mercurymon there a moment ago. Some of you may also remember it from Digimon Savers as one of the principal characters there. But yeah, that originally came out of the Digimon Excel Nature Genome and is the last Olympus 12 member on this device. Below that, we have Ogremon going into Digitalmon, going into Titamon, a classic evolution line that I don't know where it came from, but it's very often used for Ogremon, which I always find funny. But yeah, there you go. Surprised I didn't end up using Rebellamon or something for that, considering that exists now, and a lot of people like using Rebellamon, but they went with the classic, the egg, so I don't know if there's Greek parallels there or something, but yeah, so on the last column there, we have the two Super Ultimates that will be on this device, both of which I would imagine will be accessible via Jogress, just as the other Super Ultimates on Digimon Pendulum Colors are. The first one there is a pretty obvious one, Grace Novamon. We have Apollomon on one device, we have Dianamon on the other. If you have both devices, you'll be able to Jogress Apollomon with Dianamon to be able to get Grace Novamon. Below that, we have Titamon riding Skull Belluchimon. Now, Skull Belluchimon does not appear on either of these devices, so uncertain as to what this will be a Jogress of, or whether or not for sure it will be a Jogress. We don't know that 100%. So it will, I would assume it would be a Jogress with two Digimon on this device, but as you can tell, there's not a clear contender for who that might be. The closest would be Skull Seedramon, but I'd be surprised if that's what they actually ended up using. So we'll just have to wait and see to determine what the actual other component is. And it may have multiple components too. They often do on these devices. So that is the Celestial Walker device. So lots of good picks there. Obviously a big fan of the aquatic Digimon that they chose on this. And if we go down to our next device, we have our Astral Sentinel roster here. And that is starting off with Relamon, who of course is originally used as Renamon's baby form, but in this case it's being used for Moonmon. Moonmon being Lunamon's baby form, and they debuted in the other version of Digimon Story for the DS, Moonlight. Not the original, I should mention, there is a Digimon Story game before those, but this one specifically is from Moonlight. Above Lunamon there, we have Bearmon, who originally comes from Digimon World, 3, and below them we have someone entirely new. We're going to open this up. We got this little bird, some kind of magpie or corvid or something. I don't know what it is, but it's cute. It's wearing a lot of Greek-styled clothing there. And that's all we know about it. We don't know its name or anything. I should mention both this bird as well as the rest of its line, and then the snake and the rest of its line, very likely to be virus attributes to tie into where they're positioned on the charts, as well as what they're evolving into. So I don't know that for sure yet, but I'd be willing to put money on them both being virus attributes based on that. So that's what it looks like. Pretty darn cool. Love seeing more birds all the time. Absolutely fantastic to have. Do we have a virus bird of that level? I don't know if we do. We've got like, I think we've only got one virus. No, we've got 2 virus bird ultimates. We have Sutsemon and Ornismon. Maybe there's more, but those are the only 2 I can think of off the top of my head. And then virus bird perfects, we have Vulturemon. That's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. So we are lacking for virus birds. That's good to see. That's fantastic. And then going on to our lines, again, just like before, we'll start at the top, go all the way across, and go down through the adults, perfects, and ultimates. So we have Grismon, of course, classic Bearmon evolution. It evolves into Great Grismon, which I am disappointed with. I was hoping for Grappleomon because that's its original line, from Bearmon to Grismon to Grappleomon to Marsmon. That's how it debuted in Digimon World 3, but oh well. They went with Great Grismon, which did debut in Time Stranger. Is Great Grismon the one that turns into Marsmon? Because there's like 2 Bearmon in that game, right? One evolves into one thing and one evolves into another thing. Oh yeah, doesn't one turn into Calismon? What was it? This one that did? I don't know. Again, didn't play Time Stranger, so some of the choices here may be a little bit odd. I know people think the next line there is especially odd for that, but we'll keep going. And yeah, like I said, Marsmon, which I believe is the first ever member of the Olympus 12. In fact, looking at the rest of them, I can confidently say that yes, it was the first member of the Olympus 12 that ever debuted, and there it is. And going on the next line, we have Arcmon, based on Joan of Arc, previously seen on the Pendulum Z Virus Busters, and I believe it originally debuted in, it was from the Frontier movie. That turns into Luminamon. I actually have no freaking idea what Luminamon is. It's from something I don't care about. That's all I know. Sorry for those that care about whatever Luminamon comes from. And then that evolves into Venusmon. For perfectly sensible line. I know some people are disappointed that it didn't stick with the aquatic theming for Venusmon, which, I guess it only lasts for one stage anyway. It goes from Shellmon to, I think, Piccolommon, and then into Venusmon. So they didn't, like I said, this isn't holding strictly to what Time Stranger did. This is just the concept of Iliad in general. So, they can do whatever the crap they want with it. And so changes like that should be expected. They're not changes, they went with a different evolution because they could. That's how Digimon works, and that's what's beautiful about it, is Digimon can always turn into different things depending on what they're being used on. Doesn't always have to be the same old thing, so I like that. Moving on to the next line, we have the rest of Lunamon's line, so that's Lecusmon, Cressamon, and Dianamon. No surprises there. And then we have Kiwimon, originally from Wind Guardians Pendulum, into Sirenmon, which was on the Deep Sabers Pendulum Z, and I'm pretty sure it also debuted in the same thing that the rest of the Olympus 12 stuff did back in the day. And then Ceresmon, same debut there. And one thing I'll note about right now is that a lot of these Olympus 12 members do have mode changes or other forms in various media. And there's a good chance we're going to see those forms on these devices as mode changes, because the Shambhala devices had mode changes as well. Certain Digimon that had them would turn into those forms during battle specifically, if you shook the right amount and had full strength. And so I'm fully expecting to see that here too. Any of these Digimon that have mode changes, there's a high chance that we'll see those mode changes on these devices. Whether that's true for all of them, hard to say, but I would expect at least a few, if not all the ones that have mode changes, to be included. On the next line there, we have our new adult bird and new perfect bird. The adult one, I can't really tell. It kind of looks like he's wearing like a little, like fancy little, one of those things that people wear in those necks when they're wearing big tuxedos or whatever. Not tuxedos, but like the frill. The kind of frill thing that a fancy piano player would wear. That's what it looks like to me at first glance. I'm going to assume that's not it, since it's probably got Greek theming. And that turns into what appears to possibly be some form of peacock. The plumage on the tail is not as grandiose as one would expect from a peacock, so might be a different type of bird. Who knows? But neither of them we have pictures for, so I can't get any more details on that. And those turn into Junomon, and sure, why not? I'm sure that has some relation to birds in Greek mythology that I don't know. And if you're thinking about typing that to me in the comments right now, do not do that. I do not want to learn more about Greek mythology. Thank you. But that's not what I'm here for today. I've learned enough. I've watched all of Hercules. I know about Herculad. I know all the stuff there is to know about Greek mythology already. I don't need to know anymore. Anyway, moving on to the next line there, we have Kotalmon, who is a classic Draconian Digimon based on Quetzalcoatl. And yeah, it's an armor evolution. I think it's for Wormmon with the crest of hope. I might be wrong about that. It's been a long time since I've memorized those. But yeah, that was from, again, not from the show, but from the D3 Digivices was one of the evolutions there. And that is being used as kind of a snake theme there. Like I said before, there's not a lot of snake Digimon before now. So if you were to try to find another adult level snake Digimon, well, you can't. Kotalmon is the closest thing that you got apart from that new one with grapes on it. And that's turning into Lamiamon, who is plucked right out of Liberator. Lamiamon was the perfect form of Elysimon in that one, so it's showing up here again as a stopgap between Kotalmon and Minervamon. Minervamon, of course, has some snake theming going on, so it makes sense there. It's funny that we have got snakes across both devices. But we didn't decide to put them both on the same device. I wonder if there's a reason for that. I wonder if like the specific... I know I said not to comment, but if you have a reason for why the gods were split up in exactly this way that they were, I'd be interested to know that. I will learn that Greek mythology and nothing more. I do not want to know anything else about Greek mythology. Hades is a cool guy who gets the idea of what the fates are doing, and that's all I need to know about Greek mythology there. But I'm willing to learn a little bit more if you could tell me why the gods are split up this way. So yeah, that's all the Olympus 12 members. The last few here are not Olympus 12 members, but we have Centaurmon evolving into Enbarmon, who did debut in Time Stranger as well. And as opposed to turning into one of the other forms, I think Craniamon riding Enbarmon. Yeah, that's right. In Time Stranger, there's Craniamon riding Enbarmon as its own Digimon, which is hilarious. Same thing as Titamon riding Skullbluchimon. But they've opted to go with Dullahamon instead, which I absolutely love. Dullahamon was it's kind of an alternate ultimate, but also a super ultimate, depending on what context you're looking at, of Ghostmon in Liberator. But here it's just, of course, a normal ultimate, but it's being used as Enbar's evolution, which I think is a perfect fit. That's a great idea there. Dullahamon, I'm going to click on it because it looks cool, and you've got to see it too. Look at that guy. Freaking rules. Remember fighting that guy in Golden Sun and in Final Fantasy VI and in like every other video game? This guy gets referenced a lot. Yeah, so that's a cool Digimon. I'm really happy to see that one here. I love what they did with that. Then below that we have a very classic line here. We got Dobermon, we got Cerberumon, and we got Plutomon. I think that was in Survive, Digimon Survive. So you have likely seen that. Spoilers, I guess, for a game that released in 2022. But yeah, so Plutomon is not part of the Olympus 12, but is of course the ruler of the underworld, or dark area as it were, in the digital world. And that takes us to the bottom of the list there. So again, we have Grace Novamon as one of our super ultimates, and then we have Zombie Plutomon as our other super ultimate. I'd be willing to guess, this one's a little easier to guess. Dullahamon and Plutomon most likely progress to form this thing. I don't know the context of what Zombie Plutomon is all about inside of Time Stranger, but it did debut in Time Stranger. You can click on that too. What does that look like? Wow, that is impossible to parse at that size. So there we go. Those are the rosters. So freaking really cool rosters they got going on. Love to see that. I'm not a big fan of the Iliad server or the Iliad world as much as the normal Digimon stuff. Just because like the whole Greek mythology stuff, it's cool, but it ends up with the final forms being pretty samey. Like Neptunemon's pretty cool, but most of them are just like people, and I'm not big into that. And it was created by a part of the franchise that I just do not like in the slightest. Collectors and Crusaders are like what I consider the darkest part of Digimon's history. If you love Iliad, that's great. I'm very happy for you. If you love those games, I mean, I know why you do, and I'm not going to judge you for it out loud, but it's not for me. That is just absolutely not for me. So, but as far as these rosters go, I think they're great. I think with what they had to work with, they made some really cool things in here that keep them fresh. I love that we have the new Digimon in there that we're being introduced to. And just, yeah, a lot of great choices all around to complement the Olympus 12 members on these. So there we go. That is the rosters. We'll swap back over to our other details on the devices. And the last of the details we need to cover is, of course, pricing and availability. So these are being priced at 7,150 yen, which I think is the same amount as the Shambhala devices, if I recall correctly. So, yeah, you know, not cheap, but not too crazy either. There's definitely been more expensive devices that have come out. And these are on pre-order up until July 24th on Premium Bandai. Of course, other import stores may hold them up longer depending on stock, but if you want these, it's best not to wait. Again, these aren't going to be localized. These aren't going to be available in stores. Once the pre-orders are out, they're out, and that's it. You may be lucky and get a reissue later down the line. That is not a given. That is not a guarantee. Don't count on that. If you want these, get them now. They are going to be shipping in December of 2026, just like our Shambhala devices last year shipped in December. And this also makes me wonder, are we going to see this same thing happen again next year? Are we going to see more devices come to us? I don't know. Maybe. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. Let's move on to the next pieces. So next up, this one's actually a little bit of lighter news, to be honest with you, because I don't really care about this. But if you do, great. There's new Ironmon cases, or Irama, I don't remember how to pronounce it. They got more. They got one with red cap and gray cap, and they're both blue. All right. If you want your device to look more blue, which, you know, normally I'm all for, but it covers the screen, and I think that's terrible. Sorry, I'm being mean to this right off the bat. I just truly don't care about it. The cases aren't even that good. They're fine. They're fine. They look like this when you put them in there. So if that's what you're looking for, great, go for it. I thought bringing back the Iramon cases as a one-time thing was a fun little nostalgic thing to do, but having them be a continued part of the series, it's like, do we really need these? Is this really what we want? So I will not be purchasing them this time around. Not if you think this is great, go for it. They're cheap. They're like 1,980 yen, which is nothing. These are also going to be releasing in December and are also pre-order only. So if you really want these, make sure you get them. I'm not going to make fun of you. Also, this shows that the devices are more gold for their frame rather than cream. That one picture I was looking at before made it look really creamy. Gold looks much better. Like that blue there looks a lot better until you put it in the freaking Ironmon case. Shout outs in the comments if you love Ironmon cases. Feel free to, like, you know, ratio me on that. I don't care. Yeah. So there we go. That's the Ironmon cases. I keep saying two different things. All right, more cool stuff though. This is actually really cool. I'm very excited about this. So the Digivice version revival. Now don't let that name fool you. I know you're thinking of the Digital Monster Revival immediately off that. This has nothing to do with that. And this is likely not going to be something that is anything brand new. Now we know that this is, in fact it says it right there in the middle, it's based on the Digimon or the Digivice version complete. So it's got the same functionality and features as the version complete. So the new thing is that this is going to be in English. As we see there, it says reworked to be more accessible for overseas fans. I don't know why they just didn't say it's in English, but that's what that would mean. And this is going to be something that is expected to release internationally. That's the really exciting part. So it is a retail device. This is going to be releasing on Odaiba Day, so August 1st in Japan. You'll just be able to buy it. It's already up on Amazon Japan, but we should expect to see this on Amazon US and other retail markets. So we might see this in Target. We might see this at Barnes & Noble released eventually as well. We don't know when. We have no idea when. But that's really exciting. So for me, this is, you know, I've already got a version complete, so I'm not like going crazy about this, but this is a fantastic thing to put out in the general market because, you know, everyone that is in this realm, that if you're watching this video, you probably really like V-Pets, but outside of the realm of V-Pets, people really like Digimon Adventure a lot, and they love these Digivices. When people talk about the toys that they had as a kid in the US when it comes to Digimon, and they talk about the Digivices, this is what they're talking about. Now, of course, the American version was pretty different from the version complete. Version complete does a lot of other things, and the American version is also even very different from the original Japanese version. American version is actually better than the Japanese version, believe it or not. Some people may fight me on that just because, oh, but it's got bigger sprites. Well, sure, but the sprites also are kind of gross. Do you see that Gabumon on my screen right now? Look at that Gabumon, okay? And then look at the picture of Gabumon down there. Notice how Gabumon has fur, okay? Now tell me, where's the little fur line for Gabumon in that sprite? It looks so weird in his big old dumb eye. Like, that's not the worst one. I'm critiquing a sprite that's actually not that bad, but like, there's some that are just awful. Zudomon sprite is just awful. There's so much wasted space on that one, and I love Zudomon, so that's always a bummer for me. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about sprites, and didn't talk about why the American version was better than the Japanese version. This version the version complete is actually really, really good. I would, choose that over the original American version. or the original Japanese version any day, and now people will just be able to buy it. We're expecting this to be about, well, the Japanese price is 4,378 yen, and at that price, I would expect a US release to be about 30 USD, if I had to guess. That would be my assumption based on exchange rates at this exact moment in time, which, if true, being able to just go into a Hot Topic and buy one of these things, like, man, that's going to be great. Like, again, people remember these devices more than they remember the Digital Monster and the Digimon Pendulum. They remember Digimon Adventure more than anything. They're like, yeah, I want that. So, yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm excited for more people to have these types of things. It's really fun to see. For those of you that haven't played this before, so this contains all 8 of the Digimon Adventure partners and includes all of their forms, all the way up to their Stage 6 forms. The only exception is probably, I think, Tailmon, since it doesn't, exist as Plotmon normally. But it goes all the way up to Stage 6 still. So it's got all their forms in it. That was something that was kind of a complaint about the 25th Color Evolution, was that they didn't go all the way up to Stage 6 because it was very strict to the original show. But this is including everything because it's going all the way up to Kizuna. So this includes the Stage 6 forms, this includes Dark Evolutions, which never existed in the show. Skull Greymon was there, but Garurumon, or Where Garurumon Black and Metal Garurumon Black weren't. And Black War Greymon was in the show, but not as an evolution, though, but whatever, they're here for no reason. And then Kizuna forms are in there as well. The big, ugly human versions of Agumon and Gabumon. I'm being mean to this again. I'm sorry, but I have opinions on Kizuna. So, in addition to those Digimon, we also have the Hackmon line that will be in there. So that's Hackmon all the way up to Jessmon. And then we have Weezermon and Meikumon, neither of which can evolve. And yeah, there we go. So that's who's in there. And it's just the classic Digivice gameplay. You shake it, you walk with it, battles happen, you complete the battles, and you fight bosses that you may remember from the show. There you go. The 2 devices only differ in color, so the content of both is going to be identical. So just get the color that you like best. The other thing that they said is that these are going to be the first wave, and we can look at the boxes here while I talk about that. Look at that. Look at beautiful little boxes. They specifically call these the first wave. So that would imply a second wave and maybe more waves. So there's a good chance we may see additional colors, which would be fantastic to be able to get something other than the 2 colors that we always get. Like, we can get Sora's red one, we can get Kushiro's purple one. There's a lot of options there. I'm a big fan of these 2 colors, to be honest with you. I like them. Just that they very much appeal to the nostalgia in me, but I want there to be other colors for people. Like, imagine having the green Mimi one. That would be great. I would love a green Digivice. For whatever reason, despite Yamato's being blue, it's never been the one I gravitate. I always gravitate towards Taichi's for some reason. I don't know why that is. It's probably because I like Agumon more than I like Gabumon, but either way, there's hopefully going to be more options in the future, so that'll be really cool, especially if they're only $30. And then you can easily, if you end up getting this and you're like, oh, but I wanted the green one, and they announce the green one later, not too bad to get a green one after the fact if it's only $30 that you would have to spend at that point, So it's at least relatively better, I should say. Not everyone's got $30 to throw around, but $30 is a lot easier than $90, which is what these Digivices go for elsewise. So yeah, so that's those. Pretty exciting. Again, releasing on Odaiba Day in Japan, and we'll be keeping an eye out for when they release internationally. Moving on, we have the Digimon Original New Wave 1. Now, these are already out in Japan. These released in Japan in March. We talked about them in the Digimon Con video, I believe, and they are releasing in the US on Amazon on July 10th, so very soon. So if you haven't heard about these yet, they're on Amazon. You can go find them there. And they got the cute little art there, and they got even cuter boxes. If you look at this, look at these beautiful boxes that they have. I love that they made the boxes match the art of the actual device. It's way better. And they show you which special egg you get right at the top. You get Taichi's Agumon on the versions A, both the left ones, and then on the 2 right ones you get Yamato's Agumon. Both of those are version B. It's so nice of them to actually just tell us that, rather than having to reference a guide to know which one you're getting. So yeah, very, very cool to see this. I know most of you watching this probably already have a DM20, and it's not the most exciting thing, but it is great to actually see these things being sold in international markets again and have an easy entry point for people. So if you've got someone who's like, I want to try out Digimon, just be like, well, here, get one of these. It's only $20, and very easy to get them to give that a shot. Now, to follow that up, of course, this is New Wave Original 1. And so, Digimon Original New Wave 2. Here we go. So here's the next set here. So we received a leak about these in the beginning of April, and then they officially went onto Amazon Japan for pre-order just last week is when they popped up. And so these are versions C and D, C being the Coronamon ones and D being the Lunamon ones that we see there. And they come in for brand new, lovely designs. Again, they're going all in on this front-facing UV prints for these designs. We have the Graffiti Coronamon, Pixel Heart, Illustration Champion 1 through 5, my personal favorite of the bunch, and the Logo Black, which is the cleanest looking of these if you just want something less in your face than what these other ones all are. So pretty cool to see that. One thing that they pointed out in the stream, which was pretty cute, is that since this is Coronamon and Lunamon, oh, this fits in with the Iliad theming. So we got Time Changer, we got the new pendulums, and now we got this all working together. So that's really fun. And of course, the card game's done some, I think, yeah, the card game has been doing some Time Changer stuff, and we'll probably have even more Iliad stuff to come with that. And yeah, pretty exciting to see that. Just like with the other ones, these have these lovely boxes to go along with them, which again show which special egg that you get on each one. Very nice of them to do. So these are releasing in Japan here in a few weeks. July, what was it, July 24th? Do I not have that written down? I think it's July 24th. So they're going to be coming out there soon. And if we follow the same patterns that we're following, we might expect to see these in, let's see, so was March, so April, May, June, July, so 4 months afterwards, so July, August, September, October, November. So we might see these in November in international markets. Hard to say for sure. It's very likely that we will see them release outside of Japan just because the other one is, the first wave is, so why not the second wave? So we'll have to wait to see for sure. And then the next question, of course, is, well, what about the third wave? There's one more version of the DM20, and maybe we can expect an announcement for that in the next 4 months as well, since that, again, this was from March just released up, and then in March the Wave 1 released, and in July the Wave 2 released, so November maybe the Wave 3 will release. When the original DM20 English series was going on, and these are all English, by the way, again, I said that at the beginning of the video, but these are all in English even when they're sold in Japan. The previous Wave 3 of the DM20, when they were doing version E, because they did the same setup, they did 2 A's and 2 B's for the first wave, 2 C's and D's for the second wave, and then third wave, they did 1 more of each of the first 4 versions, and then 3 of the 5th version. So I don't know if they'll go that hard for this one, but that would be cool to see, so that help them even it out, because otherwise it would be 2 E's and then maybe an A and a B again. Like, I don't know how they would do it, but so either way, I would expect them to at least do 1 more wave that we can see, so we'll see how they actually choose to do that. And we didn't actually get any details of this next thing at Digimon Times, but this was revealed a little bit ago. I'm assuming on some Ultraman stream, if I recall correct. I don't know. I don't know anything about Ultraman. I'm not going to try. You already know I don't know anything about Monster Hunter. I don't know anything about Godzilla. I know more about Godzilla now, and I love the Godzilla devices, but Ultraman, that's not even something I'm interested in getting into. I'm so sorry, Ultraman fans. It's a hugely beloved franchise that everyone in Japan it's absolutely adores. So it's like, great, that's awesome. I just don't have any interest in it. So this is not my deal, but we should be seeing more details about this sometime in the near future. But yeah, that was revealed, and more crossovers, whatever. Maybe it'll be really fun. Like I said, I don't know much about Godzilla, but the Godzilla devices are phenomenal. They're the best digital monster color devices, hands down. It's not even a competition. Like, they're the best. So maybe Ultraman will blow me away in some way too, because even if I don't care about Ultraman, I do care about good V-Pets, and if it's a good V-Pet, that's all I care about. So yeah, I don't know anything about this other than that, but there we go. So that is everything new since the last time I did one of these videos. So of course, as a reminder, we have the Godzilla Pendulum that is releasing in August, and then we have the D-Arc Color, which is releasing, I think, next month. So pretty darn soon here. And yeah, we don't know what we don't know, of course, but with the pattern of Digimon Times releasing all these new things, like specifically the pendulums, it makes me wonder if we're going to see that in the next year's anniversary stream as well. I'm assuming they'll do Digimon Times again in December, like they did last year, and then again for the birthday in June. And does that mean we would see another version of the Digimon Pendulum at that point too? I am torn because, the Iliad one kind of seemed like the obvious choice for a lot of people, and it ended up being right. Like, I didn't put money down on it, but it turns out that the obvious choice was the correct choice. And so would we see another pair of pendulums that go with another set of theming? Like, could we see one related to Witchelney, for example? highly doubt it. There's not enough existing Witch-only Digimon to support these devices without coming up with a bunch of new Digimon, but I could be very wrong about that. I would love to be wrong about that. Witch-only devices would be great. Or they can go something completely different, but next year is the 30th anniversary, so they could also just, like, not do more pendulums at all and do something completely new and different for the anniversary itself. They do love making new devices for the anniversaries. The 20th anniversary had the Digital Monster version 20th, obviously. The 25th anniversary gave us the Digital Monster Color, right? Is that when that was? 2022? No, that came like a year after. It was announced in 2022? Man, I don't remember. Either way, it was close to that time. There definitely was a Vital Bracelet B model that had the theming of the original Digital Monster, so they like to do something for it. I would be very surprised if they didn't do something for it next year too, but that could mean that they wouldn't be doing a pendulum. They would do that instead. Impossible to say. It's pure speculation, and we've got a whole year before we'll find out, so that speculation isn't even worthwhile for me, so I'm not going to go further into that. Either way, hopefully this was informative for you. Hopefully you know a little bit more about these devices now and whether or not you want to be purchasing them. Very excited to see the new pendulums. I got mine pre-ordered already, obviously. Very excited to see the Digital Monster version 20th continuing to come out again, since we didn't have them for several years, and all the ones that were printed are basically super hard to find now, at least for reasonable prices. So having these again at $20 is great. I've already ordered a pair for my nephews that live nearby, and that's super exciting. And then the Digivices is, yeah, that's great to see. That's a really smart move on Bandai's part to start releasing those more, because again, Adventure sells, and that's going to be exciting to have those out in the market too. So yeah, that's going to be it for me today. I'll update with any new news as it comes up, and if you want to talk about these things, make sure to head to the Discord server. Links in the description there, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.